Elementary Science Class 7. Water, Climate and Adaptations of Animals to Climate. Weather. Did you know that the daily weather report carries information about the temperature, humidity, and rainfall during the past 24 hours?
No, I didn't know that. How do they measure those things?
Well, they use special thermometers to record the maximum and minimum temperatures of the day. The maximum temperature is usually in the afternoon, while the minimum is in the early morning.
Ah, I see. That's why it feels so hot in the afternoon and more comfortable in the morning.
Exactly. And humidity is a measure of the moisture in the air. You can find this information in the weather report as well.
Interesting. What about rainfall? How do they track that?
The weather report also includes information about the rainfall in the past 24 hours. This data is collected using special instruments.
Wow, I didn't realize there was so much involved in tracking the weather. It's a complex phenomenon, isn't it?
Yes, it is. The weather can change rapidly, sometimes from sunny to rainy in a matter of minutes. That's why it's not always easy to predict. Climate. Did you know that meteorologists record the weather every day? These weather records have been preserved for decades, and they help us determine the weather patterns in a particular place.
Oh, that's interesting. So, what is the difference between weather and climate?
Great question. The average weather pattern taken over a long time, say 25 years, is called the climate of a place. For example, if a place has high temperatures most of the time, we say it has a hot climate. Climate and adaptation. Animals are adapted to survive in the conditions in which they live. Those living in very cold or hot climates must have special features to protect themselves.
That's fascinating. Can you give me some examples?
Sure. The polar regions, located near the North and South Poles, are home to animals like polar bears, penguins, and seals. These animals have thick fur or feathers to insulate them from the extreme cold.
Wow, that's amazing. What about animals in tropical rainforests?
In tropical rainforests, animals like monkeys, parrots, and snakes have adapted to the hot and humid conditions. They have features like camouflage, tree climbing abilities, and efficient cooling systems to survive.
I see. So the process of evolution has helped these animals develop the necessary adaptations to their environments.
Precisely. The features and habits that help animals adapt to their surroundings are a result of the process of evolution. Animal adaptation in the polar regions. Did you know that the polar regions have an extremely cold climate, with temperatures as low as -37 degrees Celsius?
Wow, that's so cold. How do the animals survive in those conditions?
Well, animals like polar bears and penguins have adapted in amazing ways. For instance, polar bears have thick, white fur that helps them blend in with the snow and catch their prey.
That's so clever. What else do they do to stay warm?
Polar bears have 2 layers of fur and a thick layer of fat under their skin to insulate them from the cold. They also have large, wide paws that help them swim and walk in the snow.
Interesting. What about the penguins? How do they stay warm?
Penguins also have thick skin and a lot of fat to protect them from the cold. They often huddle together to keep each other warm, just like we feel warmer in a crowded room.
That's so smart. Do they do anything else to adapt to the polar climate?
Yes, penguins are excellent swimmers with streamlined bodies and webbed feet, which help them navigate the cold waters. Animal adaptation in the tropical rainforests. The tropical region has a hot and humid climate, which supports a diverse range of plants and animals. Some of the major animals found in the rainforest include monkeys, apes, gorillas, tigers, elephants, leopards, lizards, snakes, birds, and insects.
Wow, that's a lot of different animals. How do they adapt to the hot and humid climate?
Great question. Many of these animals have developed unique adaptations to thrive in the rainforest environment. For example, red-eyed frogs have sticky pads on their feet to help them climb trees. And monkeys have long tails and specialized hands and feet to move easily through the branches.
That's really interesting. What about the birds and big cats?
Well, some birds like the toucan have large, specialized beaks that allow them to reach fruits on branches that are too weak to support their weight. And big cats like lions and tigers have thick skin and sensitive hearing to protect them from predators.
Fascinating. And what about the animals that live in the Indian rainforests, like the lion-tailed macaque and the elephant?
Great observation. The lion-tailed macaque, also known as the beard ape, is a skilled climber that spends most of its time in the trees, feeding on fruits, seeds, and insects. And the elephant has adapted in remarkable ways, using its trunk as a sensitive nose and its tusks to tear bark off trees, which it loves to eat.